so welcome for what could go on record as being the most significant day of your life and the greatest resurrection for yourself, your family, as well as Unity of Santa Barbara. As you can already feel, it's palpable, it's measurable, that something mighty and wonderful is happening here, yes. You feel it in your hearts. Would you please stand for God today? As we hold this sacred place, as the saying by Reverend Jack Boland was, we come here as we are, yet we will not leave here the way we came. And as they looked to the tomb and Jesus was not there, may the universe look to our lives and see that there's a part of us that's no longer there as well, because we have evolved to something of intention for our lives. Yes? Yes. And so today, yeah, you can clap for yourself. It's kind of good, you know, to feel that energy. But you know, this story that is so ancient is an amazing story. And yet it means very little if we just celebrate it once a year. If we celebrate it every day. For you can have an Easter moment at any given time in your life. You can allow the old to die so the new can live that's longing for you. And truly, that is where often human struggle comes. It's when we resist letting go of what used to be and we claim what is and who we are. Are you ready to claim that today? Yes. So put your whole selves in and allow yourself to enjoy this sacred service that we have for you. And to truly know that Easter is more than a man named Jesus who died. It is a story about living people never die. See, the baby agrees. There you go. Our Unity singers now. It is well with our soul. Death to a divine awakening, from the seeming end to an aliveness greater than ever before, from what appears to be over to a fresh and heightened beginning. That is what Christ the Lord has risen means this morning, this beautiful Easter morning. May all that you are rise within, beginning here and right now.
And there is nothing more profound, nothing more meaningful in the life and teachings of our master teacher, Jesus, and even more holy than the lessons that are taught around his resurrection. And so in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 28, verses 1 through 6, it says this: "In the evening of the Sabbath, when the first day of the week began to dawn, there came Mary of Magdala and the other Mary to see the tomb. And behold, a great earthquake shook the place, for the angel of the Lord came down from heaven and went up and rolled away the stone from the cave and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his garments were as white as snow. And the guards who were watching, they trembled, and they became as if they were dead. But the angel answered, saying to the women, 'You need not be afraid, for I know that you are seeking Jesus, who was crucified. But he is not here, for he has risen just as he said.'" So listen once again to those last words, that last sentence. They're so profound, so meaningful. It's a holy lesson. You need not be afraid. Just take that in. You need not be afraid, for I know that you are seeking Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here, for he has risen just as he said. You need not be afraid. I know you are seeking Jesus, who died, but is not here, for he has had a divine awakening. He is now in pure God consciousness. You need not be afraid. I know you are seeking Jesus, who seems to have ended, but really, he's even more alive than ever before. You need not be afraid. I know you are seeking Jesus, whose life appears to be over, but who in fact is experiencing a fresh and more heightened new beginning.
teaching within the resurrection story, which is very real and pertinent for us today, over 2,000 years ago after it occurred, is that death is not the end. Our greatest fear with our humanity, isn't it? Don't want to talk about it. We don't want to look at it. We don't want to bring it up. We don't want to meet with the attorney to do our paperwork. Because we truly want to pretend that it's not happening. While all along, the true story of life is not allowing yourself to die while you're living, to be this vibrant, amazing human being, electrified with spirit. And that is the teaching of Jesus, that you, as long as you draw from the well of spirit, your well will never run dry. And yes, I'm off script. There you go. And that's why I'm not an actress. I can't stay with my lines. And so it is true that this ending comes in the form of death for some in the physical body, death of a relationship, death of a job, death of a 401k, death of an economic structure, death of an idea. How many of you today, where you sit, are working with a healing within your physical body? Would you be willing to raise your hand? Let us affirm that this is your day to resurrect, that you leave it in the chair or on the platform when you leave today. Shall we hold that? I'm always fascinated that unity was created from an unforeseen, unbelievable healing of Myrtle Fillmore, and yet we water down the reality that we are here to heal ourselves, yes? So today it could be a death of a habit, even the death of a dream, but something is emerging within you. Would you join us in singing, "It Is Well With Your Soul," with my soul?
Princess in the Pea.
They looked at him and saw a simple man, a carpenter with healing in his hands. They saw him calm the sea and heal a dying man. They saw, but could they really understand? They could not. They could not, though they tried. They could not. He was just a simple carpenter with healing in his hands. But could they really understand? They could not. They listened to the teachings of his word. They wondered at the meaning of his words. They wondered what he meant about a father's plan. They heard, but could they really understand? They could not. They could not, though they tried. They could not. They listened to his teachings about a father's plan. But could they really understand? They could not. So finally, upon a rugged cross, they killed the man who would not suffer loss. And when at last they took what willingly he gave, he died. But could they keep him in the grave? They could not. They could not. Praise God. They could not. They listened to his teaching about a father's plan. But did they really understand? Could they keep him in the grave? Could they keep him in the grave? They could not. They could not. Praise God. They could not. And finally they took from him what willingly he gave. Could they keep him in the grave? Could they keep him in the grave? Could they keep him in the grave? They could not. They could
Wow, that'll get you out of your seat and into a new space within your life, yes? So we're truly being shown in a profound way that when we are walking through our own crucifixion, it allows the resurrection to begin within us. So I want to ask you this morning, what would you consider a death in your life right now? Perhaps it's not the unrest of your family that creates chaos or perhaps pain, or your children. Perhaps it's an unrealistic definition of what you think is supposed to be, rather than allowing it to be what it is, yes? Perhaps it's not that you are getting old. It's that you don't understand that we are never here to be old. We are here to age. Old is a choice, And it is often a dysfunctional choice because it is geared by media and other things. You are here to be an ageless spirit. If you look to nature, you will see none of them complain all day long about how tired they are. So there's something very true and rich about this teaching. As Jesus would say, it is not I, but it's the Father within me who doeth the work. If it was up to us and our personalities, who would we be? But we allow ourselves to let go of these definitions that do not serve us. And we awaken to a reality of what it's like to be vibrant and to realize that love isn't put in our heart to stay. Love isn't love until you give it away. So I ask you right now, what new life will you allow this death to awaken in you? A deeper commitment to love, the fuller expression of your creativity, a deeper integrity in your financial and business affairs. What about committed to your spiritual home? Remember what it feels like today to be full, because I assure you, it is only just the beginning here in this sanctuary. Everybody raise your hand if you're still following me. Thank you. Got real quiet. A closer relationship with the God of your being. Only you can decide what the resurrection will mean for you. You have the spark of unlimited possibilities within you because the Christ light shines within you. But you have the right and the responsibility to decide what your divine awakening will be.
Can you hear it? The gentle voice of the Spirit. There's no reason to fear it. He's calling you to life. Just surrender, roll into the arms of the Father. The night is finally over. Take a step into the light. This is the day when the lost are found. This is the day for a new beginning. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Again you hear all the angels are singing. This is the day when life begins. Have no fear. Salvation has come and He is here. Have no fear. Salvation has come and He is here. Have no fear. Have no fear. This is the day when the lost are found.
Ernest Holmes of the Science of Mind says to press boldly forward, looking ever for the truth, and ever ascending higher and higher into the heavens of reality. There's no limit to the possibilities inherent in all of us. Let the timid soul put its complete trust in good and press bravely on. Now, we've been speaking about deaths that have occurred in our lives. But what if we shifted the focus for a moment and looked at a resurrection as a metaphor for the idea that in any moment in time, we can choose to let go of an old way of thinking, doing, behaving, acting. We can let that die so we can rise up.
And so now I would like to ask you, not how are you going to be responding, but rather, how could you be more proactive? How could you bring this into a practice? You see, unity is not a religion, as we've said here many times before. It is a practice. It is a daily practice. So is there fear, possibly, that you could just let die? Anyone have any fear the last month or so? We all kind of have, haven't we? Could you just let that go? And the way to let it go is not to just say, okay, I'm going to leave this fear here, but rather to focus in on pure God consciousness. Fear you'll always have in the world, but shift your consciousness to pure God consciousness. So could you let fear die? Could you just shift? Is there guilt? Maybe. Anyone ever feel guilty before? Both hands are up for me. Can you let that die? Can you shift into pure God consciousness? Are there times of shame maybe you've carried along with you for a very long time? And if that's the case, can you let it go? Can you shift to pure God consciousness? And are there feelings of inadequacy or tapes of, yeah, maybe I'm just not good enough? In the world, you will always have those kinds of thoughts. Can you shift your focus to something bigger, something higher, into higher mind? Is there anger? And yes, there is anger in the world. And if we focus on that, we're going to have more of it. Can you let that die? Can you let that just be so that you can shift into higher mind, live your life from a higher perspective? Can you let go of control? Anybody here ever have control issues? Do you have unsupportive or unhealthy habits that you could let go of? You know, the last words that Jesus uttered on the cross was, "It is finished." Wow, those are my favorite words. In the world, you will have tribulation. If you shift to higher consciousness, if you're resurrected to a higher consciousness, all of the lower realms of thinking, it is finished, it's done. Can you surrender into this holy moment? Can you awaken into the holy moment right here, right now? Let go, shift higher. And if you choose today to let any and all of those things just die, if you choose to let them go, surrender, then the glory of God that is within you will be resurrected in this exact moment. And the key point to remember is that awakening of all that is good lives right here, right now. It's there all along.
She's really something, isn't she? Isn't she a blessing? Yes, she is. Yes. You know how in your life when you've had a cold or you've had the flu and you're laying there and complaining and longing to have this memory of how you used to be. Yes? And there comes a defining moment, not necessarily in your physical body, but within your heart. Within your heart. And you look to your family, your wife, your husband, or whomever, and you say, "It's finished. I am so done with this. Change the sheets. Call the cleaning company. It's over." Yes? And that's what we are doing today. It is finished. Let it be over. Don't pick it back up again. I'd like us to have an Easter moment today regarding the word church or community. That we have an Easter moment, that we no longer compare Unity of Santa Barbara to something of the other day, but something of today. Of not comparing us to another community that one day let you down or tried to control your life, but to think of a community that will not be here to tell you what to think, but will teach you how to think for yourself. To invoke within yourself a truth that will bring to you a greater understanding, more than you ever realized. I'd invite you to have an Easter moment about the offering as our ushers are coming forward. I would invite you to have an Easter moment about that, for people often say, churches just want our money. For the greater truth is, that's a very childish statement. For the greater truth is, we want to be excited when we have the opportunity to give, as our ushers are coming forward. We want to be excited about giving. In my lifetime, I tripled my abundance capacity, exceeding all of my family. You might wonder why.
Why?
Thank you.
I wonder.
Because of the teachings of unity. Community of Unity is not here to take your money. They're teaching you how to have an abundance of your financial well-being. And the baby cries again to agree, and so it shall be. Yes.
Hallelujah,
If you're here for the first time and you feel comfortable, all we're going to ask you to do is stand. If you would just stand and let us acknowledge you. Is anyone here for the first time? That yes, we're delighted to have you, and thank you for being here. We also have mala beads for you outside at the welcome desk, as well as we have our prayer box. We also have a chaplain that is with us today. Barbara Bertucci is our chaplain for today. If you're excited to share something that you're letting go of, please see her after the service. Barbara Berger designed the beautiful flowers today. We acknowledge her. They're dedicated to Dr. Jim Quacos. He's donating them in honor of Noreen Brokke and our band. And the Unity Singers, let's give them some love today. Yes. And Jim Mooy, our talented trumpet player. Yes, we're so glad to have him. Yes. They're getting really happy. I don't know if it's because you've been fed or you're glad we're coming to an end. We're getting to know each other, yes? It's a privilege to stand here with you. It really is an honor. That's my Easter moment this day, is to be with all of you and feel your love. We have a new setup of chairs outside and tables. The team has gone to great effort to do that. So when you have your coffee and your pick-me-up and your tea, go over and join others there to the side. Also, April 24th, next Sunday, after the service, we are going to have a workshop by Kat O'Keefe Canavas, and she is going to be doing Unmask Your Dreams workshop. She is an incredible human that realized in dreams that she had cancer, and she kept telling the health teams that she did, and they said, "No, you do not." And she stood by her dream. And indeed she did, and therefore her life was saved through the power of dreams. Yes, oh, you can clap. I think that's a wonderful story. We love having the presence of children today. May we have an Easter moment about our soon-to-be revised youth and family ministry. A community without children is not ready to call itself a community. So let us affirm that, yes?
Yes.
And hold that in our awareness, and no pressure to those that we want to come on board to be teachers, no pressure.
And of course, we're always looking for volunteers. One of the things that Temple and I are real clear on is that this is the epicenter of many spiritual events to happen. So because of that, we need more and more people to volunteer. So if you are interested in volunteering, please see Peggy. I don't know where she's going to be, but you know what? We will, or come to us if you are interested in volunteering. We will take down your name and number, because we really are moving forward in a big way. And so with that, we want to just take this moment of great gratitude for each of you being a part of today's service. It takes a group energy to have an upliftment like we've had here today. So let us just be glad, and as we do so now, let us stand and sing our peace song.
All
prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am that light. The love of God enfolds us. I am that love. The power of God protects us. I am that power. The presence of God watches over us. I am that presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.